Hello and welcome to the video. So if you're new here, my name is Brenna. I have been living in my self-converted Toyota Hiace camper van with my dog for 4 years now, and every year I have done a video on how much it has cost me. So this video is for if you're thinking about moving into a van, to share with you what it costs. I was under a bit of a misguided perception that it was going to be really cheap, and it hasn't. It's definitely cheaper than living in a house, especially in Australia at the moment, but it's not the cheapest thing in the world. You still have to pay for things. So I want to share with you all the money that I spent in 2024. All right, let's go. It was a big one. Any of you have watched my previous video, or 2 videos ago I think, I shared with everybody about how I do a budget. So I do keep a budget that I run from January to December, and as part of that budget, I write down absolutely everything that I spent. So I have it broken down into categories. So I'm going to share with you the different categories, and some things might need explanation, some things might not, but I will put up on the screen for you the dollar values for everything. All right, the first category is food, which I'm going to call / groceries. So when I say food or groceries, I basically mean everything you buy in the supermarket. I know in the past I've always labeled it food, and that's a bit deceiving. So it includes everything that you can't eat, like paper products. You've got paper towels, toilet paper, tissue, any food wrappings, any shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer, deodorant, toothpaste. All of that goes into the groceries category. The total I spent on groceries in 2024 was $7,032. That is an average of $135 a week. My budget was $125 a week, so I definitely blew that out. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I spent a lot of time in small country towns shopping from small country supermarkets, which is very expensive. And the second thing is I started eating more chicken, more protein for my health. So I think they're the reasons. Plus, I just ate too much. I just ate too much food. The second category I have is vitamins. So I do take vitamins to supplement my diet, and the total I spent was $453, which averages $9 a week. My next category is protein powder. Again, I take protein powder, plant-based, to supplement my diet, and that came to $542 and averaged around $10 a week. My next category is what I call spending, which is kind of like everything else, all the little incidentals that happen. So some of the things that go into my spending are things like buying butane gas, any little things, if I do buy a new basket or something for the van, any new containers, art supplies for me, anything like that you buy, any little incidentals, you know, clothes, shoes. You could imagine, you know what, you have like the random things that you buy in your life. So I spent $2,918, and that averaged out to $56 a week. That was pretty big spending. I think I'm trying to get it down to $40 a week for 2025, but I have split out art supplies to be separate because I really want to track how much I spend on those. The next category I have, I call shower laundry power. So that's when I've paid to have a shower somewhere, or I have paid to do my laundry, or sometimes I'd make a donation to use power. Some small towns, you can make a donation just to use power at some sites they have. So that's how I break this category up. Everything is in the one spot. That total was $392, and that averaged $8 a week. My next category is paid camping. So this includes caravan parks, campsites, anywhere where I've actually paid to camp. That total came to $3,374, and that averages out at $65 a week. That is definitely over. I was budgeting $40 a week, but I think For 2025, I have increased that because the cost of camping has gone up all around Australia. It's all gone up since when I first started in 2020. My next item is a storage unit. So I did sell my house and get rid of most of my possessions. I now have a very small storage unit with things I didn't want to get rid of, and that came to a total of $1,339 for the year. Averages out at $26 a week. Now I did have a feeling, I'm trying to think how long ago it was. Maybe it was before the start of summer, so maybe in August, September, where I went to my storage unit and my first instinct was, I don't want this stuff anymore, I want to get rid of it. And I still may do that. It's a bit hard to do it in summer. I'm in Western Australia. It's a bit hard, it's too hot. But I still might actually go through and get rid of everything in that storage unit. I'm going to sit on it for a few more months and then I'll decide. My thoughts around getting rid of is I've lived without that stuff for 4.5 years. And do I really need it? The next category is telephone, which I put /internet because I do work online as a bookkeeper and I use my phone as a hotspot to work. So I need a decent data plan. So that altogether came to $1,350 for the year, and that averages $26 a week. And I have a new addition to my budget this year, and I got Starlink in January. I really like Starlink. It's helped me stay more remote for longer, where I can get internet to work. And also it's flexible. I can start and stop it as I need it. So I don't have to pay for the whole year. I can pay for it as I use it. So my total Starlink came to $1,008, and that averages $19 a week. All right, we're about halfway through the list. I have a lot of categories. The next category is fuel. So for me, my van is petrol. My total fuel expense was $3,965, and that averaged $76 a week. That was very low. My budget is $100 a week, but what I saved in fuel, I've made up for in van maintenance. My next expense is my van registration. Now I do pay it quarterly, and last year it came to $833. Now that is because my van was actually written off at the beginning of December, and so I didn't have to pay for the last month, and I actually got a rebate on it. And the van registration for last year came to $16 a week. Okay, next is my van insurance. So that came to $1,699. And when I was paying my insurance monthly, but when I got a payout, they actually pay out the whole policy as well. So that is what it would have cost me for the whole policy up until May. Actually, my policy runs from May to May, and that came in at $33 a week. Right, another big one was the van maintenance. I did a lot of repairs on that van before it got written off. At the beginning of the year, I put new tires on it, 4 new tires in February, which I got about half of my life use out of those before the van got written off. And I also did a rear differential in, I think, March. So that altogether, my repairs plus services came to $4,062, and that averaged $78 a week. So like I said, my fuel was down, my maintenance was up, and it actually balanced itself out perfectly. The next expense is my RAC Roadside Assistance, which came in very handy. Definitely got my money's worth this year with the van breaking down and having to be towed. So that total was $366, and that averages out at $7 a week. So, the price of an expensive coffee for Roadside Assistance, and I have the top cover, so I highly recommend it. Next category is donation. So I do make donations. I use the World Wildlife Fund, and I actually had to put a halt on that when we get to the last category because my expenses were blowing right out, and I thought I just have to stop that until I can recoup some of my money that I've had to pay out. So my donations for 2024 were $390, and that came to $8 a week. I feel it's really important for me to always try and give back. I'm not a religious person, I don't have a church, but I always want to give back a little something into the community, into the world. The next category, we're almost finished, is my health insurance plus my health costs. So I live in Australia. We do have a publicly funded Medicare system, but honestly I hardly ever go to the doctor. yeah, I'm not even sure if I have been in 2024, except for blood tests. I just do blood tests to check my blood, and that's all covered. And I get hormones replacement therapy because I'm menopausal. And that's about it. And then the other in costs are things like glasses, and I have hearing aids as well. So I also have private health insurance, and that covers things like my dental, my glasses, some hearing aids, a few other things. So altogether, for my health insurance plus my out-of-pocket health costs was $1,330 for the year. That averaged $26 a week. So that includes any money I got back from the insurance. That goes off that account. All right, here we go. My biggest expense for the year, and anyone that's been here with me for the year, you're going to guess what this is. My dog has had 3 surgeries this year, which I feel for her. She's went through a lot, but I can say at the moment she's doing really, really, really good. This morning we walked 2.7 kilometers and I haven't seen a limp on her at all, and she's doing really well. She might have a little bit of swelling in one of her joints, but she's doing really well. So we started off the year in, I think, March. She had cruciate ligament surgery on one of her rear legs, and my dog will be 12 next month, and she did have the other leg done when she was 2 years old. So she waited almost 10 years in between. So we had cruciate ligament surgery. And then in, I think it was October, she developed an infection, and it was in that leg that had just had the cruciate ligament surgery. So quite a while later, the vets were very concerned, and they went in and they pulled out all the titanium plates and screws, which I have. Hang on, I'll show you. I have all the plates and screws, if you can see. So they took them out and they gave them to me. So she had that, and it was quite a big staph infection, so she was on some pretty serious antibiotics for a couple of months. And then about 3 weeks after that surgery, she had a lump that was on the back of her neck that had been there for years and years and years, and all of a sudden that festered. And I took her and they sampled it, and it was cancerous. So then they had to go in and cut it out and did a big incision and everything. So the poor thing has had 3 surgeries this year. And altogether, those surgeries, the vet visits this year, have cost me $11,527. But I do have insurance on the dog. So I paid out in insurance premiums this year $1,064. So between the insurance premiums and the cost of the vet visits, I paid out a total of... Okay, no, I didn't write that down. But the insurance paid me back $4,838. So I am out of pocket for the dog for this year, $7,247. So that is $6,000 over her budget. I think she has a budget of about $2,000. So she's over her budget by $6,000. You know, I've had words to her. She's going to get a job or something. How's she going to pay for this? But she just gives me cuddles and love. So it's just an expense I have to wear. Obviously, it's hit my savings big, and I will try and recoup, going forward in 2025. So the dog cost me $139 a week with the out-of-pocket expense. So my total for the year, including the dog, $39,362, and that averaged $757 a week. But I'm going to give you the cost minus the dog, because some of you haven't got dogs and you obviously haven't got to do 3 surgeries in a year. So my total cost minus the dog expense was $33,381, and that averaged $642 a week, which brought me right in on budget. So my budget balanced out almost perfectly, except for the dog. So that's really important to me to keep on track. And as I said in my video on the budget, what I can do at the end of the year, and I can make adjustments on the next year. So some things will go up, some things will go down. I can think about how I'm going to plan the year out. I have separated out some more things. I have separated out buying art supplies. I have separated out different things. I can't think off the top of my head, but I have. So I want to keep track of more specific things and how much they spend. I had a few things lumped into one category. But that's what it cost me to live in a van. I did spend all of 2024, yes, in Western Australia. I did spend a few months at the beginning of the year in a house, and I've spent the last 6 weeks of the year in a house, like house sitting, taking care of houses, or just broken down and having to stay with friends. So yeah, that's how much it cost me. So it's not hugely expensive. Some people are paying $650 a week in rent at the moment. So that $642 was everything. That was everything. There's no other expenses on there. So I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. That would be great. But yeah, apart from that, that's what it cost me to live in my van in Australia in 2024. I will see you on the next one. Bye.